Hi, this is Carolyn Nee Laughlin, your hostess with the mostest of From Paper to People podcast, and you're listening to Pop Goes Your World.
If you haven't already, subscribe on iTunes. And while you're there, please leave us a rating and review.
And now it's time for our feature presentation.
I'm Chris McBrien, and the pop culture from Generation X is everything to me.
And I'm Derek Myers, and I'm here to educate Chris on the great pop culture of today's generation.
Episode 299, Bachelor Party Movie Review. Chris McBrien along with Derek Myers, and this is Pop Goes Your World, the pop cultural podcast for the generations. Now this week we're going back in time to 1984. It was a time before Tom Hanks was an Oscar-winning actor, maybe the most respected actor of his generation. But before all that, back in 1984, Tom Hanks starred in Bachelor Party, and we're going to relive it here this week. But before we get to that, Derek, what is new in the world of pop culture for you, my friend?
Hey, Chris.
Hi.
It's been a couple of weeks. We took a week off, so I had a lot of stuff. I'll try and keep it short, but I have a few things I think you're really going to like. I'm going to start with this one. Good. So I was flicking through Pluto TV the other day.
I love Pluto TV.
Just to see what was on. I was trying to find something to kill some time, and I noticed that one of the channels is now running the TV show Webster, and I was like, oh my God, I haven't seen Webster since it was on TV. So I thought, I wonder what episode it is. It was the pilot. It was the very first episode of Webster, which I had no memory of ever seeing. Although when I was a kid, I did watch the show. So I actually watched the pilot episode of Webster. It was like both awesome and horrible at the same time. Yeah, but it was a real just shot of nostalgia. I was like, oh my God. So yeah, no, that was an interesting watch. So
nice.
It was worth it.
Susan Clark and Alec Karras and Emmanuel Lewis.
Yeah, no, it was really good. And what I picked up on.
Did you remember that the girl that plays the mom was Cherry Forever in Porky's?
I did not know that.
Oh, she was.
But when I was watching it though, one of the things that I noticed is I did remember in the from again when I was younger watching the show, the mom, ma'am, whatever, the one you were just talking about,
right?
She's like I think she said she's like works in the government or something, so she has an assistant, like basically a secretary. It's a male secretary, and when he's on the show, it's absolutely clear that he's gay or supposed to be gay. But of course it was the late 80s. Like they don't just come right out and say it. And as a kid, I had no idea. I'm watching this pilot episode and I'm like 2 seconds in, I go, oh my God, she's got a gay assistant. I'm like, that's very progressive. And I was like, oh, but they're clearly not going to.
He was black too, wasn't he?
No.
No? I'm trying to remember.
Yeah, anyway, I was like, oh okay. And yeah, that really jumped out at me. And I was like, oh, okay. You know, the things you don't pick up on when you're a little kid. So anyway, but the show was, the episode, like I said, it was both fun to revisit, but terrible because it's so dated. But there's that nostalgia factor. So it's always fun to revisit that. And I honestly, I don't think I'm going to go back and watch any more episodes, but it was fun to catch
one and
done.
Yeah.
Of all episodes. It just happened to be that one.
Oh, that's cool.
But then I actually had a chance to watch a brand new show that started just this week on the FX network.
Okay.
And I don't know if you watch anything on FX, but they tend to be a little more, they're not quite premium cable, but they're definitely a little more loosey-goosey than network TV. So they can get away with swearing and more mature content. And I find that I tend to like a lot of their programming. So they have shows like FX is one of the, or Fargo, for example, is one of their marquee shows. Anyway, the new show is a sitcom. It's called English Teacher. And I'll just read you the synopsis here.
I've heard about that. I heard it's quite good.
It is fantastic. So it's streaming on Hulu in the U.S. and it's on FX here in Canada. And so this is what it says here. It says the show follows Evan, a gay high school English teacher, and his coworkers as they try to balance the demands of the students and their parents. And it takes place in rural Texas, which just adds other layers onto it. Anyway, the creator and star is a gentleman named Brian Jordan Alvarez, who I'm watching it going, he looks familiar, but when I looked up his IMDb, I didn't really recognize his credits, but apparently he's been around a bit and he's very well respected. And again, it's one of these things where he obviously has the chops that they gave him full reign. I mean, he's the writer, creator, and star of the show. And I watched the first 3 episodes we're on this week. it's one of the best things I've seen on TV this week. I don't know if it's maybe just because so many of my friends, including you, are teachers, so I hear a lot of these stories about the interactions with these younger kids, or because I was a student who took English, or there's just so much about this show just appealed to me immediately, and the dialogue is smart and the characters are smart. Like it really hit all the right notes for me. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the rest of this season. From what I'm reading, there are 8 episodes. So we got a few more weeks till we're going to get the rest of them. But I hope that it does well. It is getting really strong reviews. So if you have the opportunity to watch English Teacher on the FX network or on Hulu, check it out. At least, I mean, you'll know after one episode if you don't like it. It's only 20 minutes. But
like I say, I've heard good things. So
it was really good. Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I'm recommending it to all my friends that are teachers, and I want to sort of get their input as to how accurate some of this, because it takes place in the here and now. And some of the things that the students do seem outrageous to me, but I totally believe all of it. So anyway, so I had a chance to watch that. And then I took a trip recently, and I thought, you know what? If I'm going to be on a plane, I should watch a movie about a plane. So I watched Executive Decision with Kurt Russell and Steven Seagal and a whole bunch of other people where you go, oh, I know that guy, but you don't know their names. And for those who maybe don't know, Executive Decision is an action movie that came out in the 90s, and a plane gets hijacked, and a group of special forces are in like this super duper stealth bomber type plane, and they manage to dock with the plane midair and get the super soldiers, like the special forces guys, on the plane. And then they have to figure out how to take control of the plane before it gets into U.S. airspace, or the military is going to shoot down the plane. And then you get 2 hours of Kurt Russell being a hero. Oh, Halle Berry's in it too. She was like just one of her early performances. She's very young and beautiful and doesn't have a lot to do, but very pretty on screen. Anyway, it's a fun movie. It has its problems, I'll give you that, but it was fun to watch that one on the plane. So I figured, I'm on a plane, I got to watch a movie about a plane. And then I had a chance to
better watching that than watching one of those disaster films from the 70s, like Airport, where it crashes,
Well, I was going to say, or Airplane, but I'm like, I don't think I need to see that one again. I've seen it recently. So, and then I had a chance to watch a documentary.
For 40 days and 40 nights, he watches documentaries. He likes to learn about the world. It's Derek's Documentaries. Derek's Documentaries.
Do tell.
So I mentioned this before. There's a series on Netflix called Untold. It's a sports documentary series where they, like one of the ones from last season, there was a referee who was betting on the games, and
I remember you talking about that.
There's it's stuff like that. There was one where there was like one about the horse racing where there was a guy who was killing the horses for insurance money. Like it's usually they're sort of like they're darker things. Anyway, a new season of Untold just dropped, and so there's 3 new episodes. So I had a chance to watch the one that seemed to appeal to me the most. It's called The Sign Stealer, and this focuses on a guy who worked for and I'm probably going to get some of this football stuff wrong, and I apologize for super fans that are going to correct me, but he worked for the University of Michigan. I always get them wrong. The one that's the Wolverines, the Michigan school. It's either University of Michigan, Michigan State. I'm sorry, I don't know which one was which. It's the blue and yellow one. Anyway, he worked for them, and his job was to watch the other side, the other team's coaches, and try and figure out when they made certain hand signals, what play the quarterback was going to run. And so once he was able to figure out what those signs were, he could notify his coaching staff and say, they're running play XYZ. And they go, well, we have a defensive move that'll just totally block XYZ. And so he was so good at it that in part the team got really, really good really, really fast. Now, obviously, that's not the only reason they got really, really good. There was a lot of player development and other things, but this was a contributing factor. And stealing the signs is not illegal, and they make a very big deal in the documentary of saying anything you can see with your own eyes or watch on TV and pick up on, that's allowed. But what you're not allowed to do is make your own recordings of games or have someone else make recordings of games that you don't personally attend. And if you're using that kind of information to learn about signs, that is against the rules. Again, it seems like a dumb technicality, but in any case, this guy was accused of doing that. Again, the documentary sort of tap dances around it. They don't come right out and say whether he did it or didn't do it. They sort of frame it like he probably did, but they can't prove it, so they can't come right out and say it. But there was a lot of downstream implications. Coaches got suspended, and the team was potentially had to forfeit wins, which would have affected the long term of their football program. So it was just this really interesting documentary. Like, it's 90 minutes. The first hour is just all about this guy and his history and how he wanted to be a part of football, but wasn't like good enough to be a player. He wanted to be a coach, and how he realized that by learning the signs, he could become an invaluable part of the coaching staff. And it was fascinating because, again, I'm not a football guy or a college football guy at all. And this is a part of the game that I knew absolutely nothing about. And they did a great job of explaining it from the ground up. And when I talked to some football people that I know, they were like, oh, yeah, no, I remember when that was a big thing. And I'm like, man, again, it's just all depends on the circles you're running. And this was all new to me, and it was fantastic. It was called The Sign Stealer, and it's part of the Untold sports documentary series on Netflix. So check that one out. A+.
Very, very cool. Before I get to my pop culture thing, I did want to mention that we have an announcement to make around here. Recently, Derek, you celebrated a milestone, and I just wanted to say... Happy birthday, my friend.
Well, thank you. Yes, that's why I was on a plane. I went to Las Vegas for my birthday.
Nice. You love going to Vegas. So happy birthday.
I sure do. Thank you very much. People in my office were shocked when I told them how old I was, and they're like, you're the guy who reads comic books, plays Dungeons and Dragons. How can you possibly be that old? I said, well, when you don't have kids to make your life more stressful, you can look a lot younger. It was funny.
Before I had kids, people used to always say that to me. They meant like, man, you look so young. You look like a teenager. You look like you're in your 20s. Like, and then I had kids, and I've like aged 25 years in the last 5 years. Like,
well, Chris, gosh. did you tell me just this week someone thought you were a baby boomer?
Yeah, I was in class, and we were mentioning about generations. What generation do you think I'm from? They're always like, oh, you're a baby boomer. I'm like, oh my God, you just failed. That guy just failed class. So anyway, that's the kind of teacher I am. Okay, I heard a rumor, Derek, and I don't know if you can verify if this is true or not, because you're on the internet a lot more than I am, checking this stuff out.
Sure.
I heard they're going to be making season 4 of Ted Lasso.
I have heard something to that effect. I don't know how concrete it is, but it sounds like it's a go, and it sounds like they'll be starting production after Christmas.
I mentioned before how much I love Ted Lasso. It's like one of the top 5 TV shows of the last 25 years. It might even make my personal top 5 TV shows of all time. I love it that much. We did a whole episode on Ted Lasso.
It's a solid show. I mean,
oh man, I love it.
I thought they wrapped it up pretty nicely. Though I'm worried if they do another season, they may just sort of stomp on the ending, right? It's like, here's Return of the Jedi. We're going to end the story. And it's like, no, we're going to put all this garbage after. And you're like, you know what? That really sort of hurt the ending of this story that you had. So
I hope season 4 of Ted Lasso is not like putting Hayden Christensen over top of Sebastian Shaw at the end of Return of the Jedi. Now that you mentioned that.
Sorry, Chris, interrupt. Yeah. Speaking of Star Wars, I guess we should probably just, nod our head and say an RIP to James Earl Jones, who passed away since our last recording.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty big. And not only, Darth Vader, but I mean, to do like Mustafa and like King Joffrey, like, he was so good. And Terrence Mann. Oh,
yeah,
man,
Field of Dreams.
So good. God, he was something else. And when you think back to his early career on stage, and then when he did the Great White Hype and all that stuff, and like I said to my wife, because she doesn't know pop culture, like we do. She's not really into it. I said, do you realize he was a stutterer? And she's like, what? I'm like, yeah, the greatest voice of all time. Probably the most recognizable voice in human history. I think you could go online and say it. I think
you can argue he's in the top 3 without question. There's a strong argument for number 1.
Throughout the history of mankind, the most recognizable voice, right up there, right? Guy's a stutterer.
I'm going to say speaking voice, because I think if you were to play a Michael Jackson singing voice, people would recognize that.
Yeah, I guess speaking voice, but again, like to think that he stuttered and like what an incredible guy. God, he was something else, and he had such a great sense of humor. Too, when you think of things he did, like on Big Bang Theory and stuff, like he didn't take himself too seriously. He was great at humor, even in Coming to America. Like, he was just so good. Oh man, yeah, that's a good shout out. What did I want to mention? Oh, with Ted Lasso, I just want to go back to that for a second, because I'm a little bit skeptical about this season 4 thing, because I feel like the show was perfect. It just was like a perfect show, and then like you said, like they wrapped it up really well. So, I don't know. It's funny because on one hand, you think, I love the show so much. I would be overjoyed, at the prospect of a season 4, but I'm not. I think it's a terrible idea I just want to leave it the way it is. I just feel like sometimes they just, it's just for money. I get it. I feel like that show played out as a 3-act play. I remember saying to my wife, we were watching season 1 at the time, and I said, and this was when we were watching it as it was coming out, and they only had season 1. And I said, this is a 3-act play. I can see the story arc. You can kind of envision where it's going to go. Yeah. This is a 3-act play. And it was perfect. So I don't know. You just can't improve on it. Why go back to it? You can only rehash what's been done. I mean, I don't know. I really hope that this one can buck the trend. I really, really do. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. But I think the key to making this work is to sort of change the direction of the show a little bit and maybe focus more on the 2 female leads and less on the football club. I think that might be the secret to success, because I think that's a niche that is, well, not even a niche, but I think that's an angle that you don't see enough shows.
I agree, but maybe wouldn't that be like a spin-off or something instead? Like, Ted Lasso was the whole point, is the optimism he brought and all of the things that's true. He made you realize about yourself, in your ordinary regular life, of how to behave, how to treat other people, how to use kindness. Kindness isn't weakness. It's okay to have weaknesses. Like, all that stuff was just so great. I don't know. I'm really worried. But anyway, I have this for you.
Here's your dad joke of the week.
So, Derek, I thought since we're reviewing Bachelor Party this week that I would do a Bachelor Party joke for you.
Okay. I'm already worried. Do we need to get the censors on standby? Get your finger on the bleep button.
No, I don't think so. Derek, did you hear about the bulimic Bachelor Party?
The bulimic bachelor? No, I didn't.
The cake comes out of the girl.
Chris, you can't talk about stuff like that. Edit that out. Bleep that joke. Not
Even Rocky had a montage.
A lot of the characters in that film have AIDS. That's a big part of the storyline.
America, yeah.
Everybody has AIDS. AIDS.
Freedom isn't free.
We need to recruit the world's greatest actor.
So Ronry and Sadri are
I have a threshold.
But it's also...
No, puppet sex, I'm out.
That's where I draw the line.
Everybody has AIDS. AIDS. Okay, that's it. I've had enough.
Never professed to be politically correct.
That drop just made me laugh. I love it when you do the new drops so you don't tell me and I hear them on the show for the first time. Oh my God, it just made me laugh so much.
Okay, so this week, Derek, it was over to me to nominate a movie for us to watch. To the surprise of no one, I went with an old 80s movie. And the thing is, we mentioned this before. Back in the 80s, the whole idea of the raunchy sex comedy was basically like a genre all unto itself. And even a young Tom Hanks got started in this genre of film. So I don't remember, Derek, if you had ever seen this movie or not.
Nope, I'd never seen it before. I literally watched it this afternoon. I've never watched it before today.
So watching it for the first time, why don't you just start us off by giving me your overall first impression of it?
So I'd never seen it. I knew very little. I knew Tom Hanks was in it.
Right.
I didn't know I didn't know anybody else. I didn't know if anyone else was in it that I would know. Most of the people that I had mentioned or had talked about it, just like, oh yeah, it's there. It's a Tom Hanks movie. I hadn't really heard anything good or bad about it. So I was like, I had very low expectations coming in. And let me tell you, this movie was fantastic. I loved it. Good. It was so good. I could not believe how good it was and how much I liked it and how many stupid things I laughed at. That I was like, I was disappointed that none of my friends had made me watch it before now, because it was
you're like,
really
how
good.
did this get under your radar, right?
Like you've had me watch some stuff that I'm like, well, I've never seen this before, and then I watched it, I'm like, oh my God, that was garbage, or it was of its time so much it's hard to enjoy it now. But I was like, there were definitely a handful of things that were of its time, but wow, so much of this movie was just good fun, hilarity. It's not like something like Revenge of the Nerds where half the movie you're now watching and like, ooh, no, I shouldn't laugh at that. It was like this really, I think a lot of it stood up really well. And Tom Hanks was just so likable.
He was so good.
And like I read some of the casting of What Ifs where they were like, well, we thought about this, but I think they said Paul Reiser was one of the people they wanted, and I was just like, oh my god, like this wouldn't have worked with anyone other than Tom Hanks. Like he just knocked it out of the park. So we'll talk about the specifics.
Yeah, we will definitely get into the weeds with this, and we'll figure out what makes the movie work and what maybe didn't work in it. But before we do that, I always like to talk about the box office. So back to 1984, number one film that year. You want to take a guess?
84 was either Ghostbusters, Beverly Hills Cop.
It was Ghostbusters, number one film. Indiana Jones and the Temple of Doom was number two, followed up by Gremlins, The Karate Kid, and Police Academy, another sex comedy. This movie finished in 18th place, took in $38 million.
Doesn't sound too bad.
Just behind Breakin'. And Revenge of the Nerds finished just ahead of it.
Speaking of Revenge of the
But
Nerds,
it did finish ahead of movies like The Terminator. Terminator was down at number 21. The Last Starfighter.
Yeah.
16 Candles was down at 37. Top Secret, 43. Ice Pirates, 59. That's a personal favorite of yours, isn't it?
I watched that like about a year ago. I was surprised how much I still enjoyed it.
And Electric Dreams was all the way down in 142. A personal favorite of mine, as you know.
I don't even know what that is.
I mentioned it before on the podcast. It was with my lifelong crush, Virginia Madsen, was in that.
Oh,
it was
yes,
with the computer that comes in life. So the movie did okay. It wasn't certainly a runaway hit or anything like that, but we usually talk about the cast. Now, before we get into the cast, I think you brought up something that's interesting and worth us exploring a bit, and that's who didn't get cast in this. So Jim Carrey and Tim Robbins were both considered for the lead role of Rick Gasco. And the producers finally settled on their two lead actors for it. And they actually started shooting the film with the aforementioned Paul Reiser and Kelly McGillis in the lead roles. After a week of shooting, they're like, boy, we made a mistake. And they went back to the audition room and they came back with Tom Hanks and Tawny Kitaen. Big improvement, I think.
No kidding, yeah.
No kidding. We'll start with Tom Hanks, obviously. Is he the most respected actor of his generation? He's got to be, right?
I got to think so. He's one of those very few performers who you never really hear anything bad about. It's what, up until this week, I would have said, another guy who's like that, Dave Grohl, the Foo Fighters. And then all of a sudden, I had an affair and I got a baby out of wedlock. It's like, Dave, come on, man. Like you don't hear that kind of thing about Tom Hanks.
Yeah. Well, I guess Dave Grohl is a musician, so I guess there's that.
Yeah.
But with Tom Hanks, I feel like people think of him as like the Gen X Jimmy Stewart.
Yes, I've heard that. Yes.
Yeah, like that everyman type, at least for middle American white people anyway. But most people, if you ask them nowadays, millennials and stuff like that, they know him as a 6-time Oscar nominated actor. So he was nominated for Best Actor 5 times. Started out in 1989 for Big. He was nominated. 94 for...
Wait. Let me see if I can guess him.
Okay.
So we know Big... and then
I'll give you the year, 1994.
No, I don't even need the year. Okay. Give me so these won't be in order. Big and Saving Private Ryan, Philadelphia.
Yep.
He won back-to-back. Forrest Gump.
Yep.
And Castaway.
Absolutely. And then he was also nominated for Best Supporting Actor.
Really?
Yep. Recently, in 2020.
It was that newspaper one, right? It was...
No,
I don't know then. What was it?
Won't You Be My Neighbor?
Oh, never saw it.
A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood.
I heard it sucked.
Yeah, I didn't watch it, but it seems odd. He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor for playing Fred Rogers.
The lead role.
The lead role, I don't know. But he definitely won for Philadelphia in 94 and Forrest Gump in 95. In 89, he was up for Big. That was his first one. He lost to Dustin Hoffman in Rain Man. And in Saving Private Ryan, he lost to Roberto Benigni for Life is Beautiful. And in the aforementioned A Beautiful Day in the Neighborhood, he lost Best Supporting Actor to Brad Pitt from Once Upon a Time.
Yeah, he wasn't going to win that. Brad Pitt had that one locked from day one.
So Tom Hanks' first screen credit was in the low-budget horror movie He Knows You're Alone with Dana Barron. I don't know if you remember her. She was the first Audrey Griswold in Vacation. The original.
Oh, okay.
And he was also in that movie with Paul Gleason, from the Breakfast Club and Trading Places and Die Hard.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
And Yeah, it was pretty much, you wouldn't know anybody else in that movie. It was low budget. But he also then, after that, he did a guest spot on The Love Boat, one of my favorite shows. And then he was cast in Bosom Buddies. Pretty much his first big break, I would say. And although he did 2 memorable guest spots on sitcoms in the early 80s.
Family Ties.
Yeah, Family Ties. He was Uncle Ned, the alcoholic. Really, really good. And he was also a black belt karate champ in Happy Days. He challenged Fonzie to a fight. I don't know, you obviously don't remember that one.
I do not.
But the thing is, if you go right back to this is really, one of his first films. He was a super charismatic actor right from the get-go with a boatload of talent. Like, you could just see it,
Yes.
But the thing was, it was the 80s. Sex comedies were all the rage. So he did Bachelor Party. So him doing this raunchy sex comedy, does it sully any of that other stuff to come, do you think?
I don't think it does, in part because of the character he's plays. His character is like the only guy who does everything right. Like, it's, if he was like, oh, well, I'm going to have sex even though I told my fiance I wasn't going to, or, something like that. Like, he didn't really do anything inappropriate. And when presented with temptation, he did the right thing and turned it down. So I think because the character was sort of such a likable guy who just made all the right choices, even when presented with easier, more pleasurable, evil options, I think that worked in his favor, that even though, this is one of those dumb sex comedies, it still was a decent story and he was a decent guy in it. And I think that worked for him. I think that helped him.
I agree with you. I thought he was actually great in this movie. And it's really his charisma, along with Tawny Kitaen too. More on her in a minute. I want to talk about her a bit. But the chemistry between them and just both of their likability, I think really makes this movie work. And it kind of elevates the material quite a bit.
Yeah.
Don't you agree?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And I definitely got the sense in a few scenes he was probably improvising a little bit, like when he was making the dinner and he's juggling the meatballs and stuff. Like, I got to think a lot of that is like him bringing some of that to the screen. And there's a few other scenes where it's like you could just got the sense that it was just Tom Hanks being Tom Hanks. And I think that worked because, again, he had the charisma and he had the talent and people were okay with it.
Yep, I agree. Tawny Kitaen, I want to talk about her. Boy, did she have an interesting life. So, probably best known as the heavy metal rocker girl. So, she was on the cover of Rat's debut EP, her legs with the rats climbing up them. I don't know if you're familiar with that. She was also on the cover of Rat's LP, Out of the Cellar.
Out of the Cellar, that one I remember. Where
she starred, obviously, in this movie. And then she started dating David Coverdale from Whitesnake, and she was in pretty much every video for Whitesnake. Most notably when she was like writhing around on the hood of the Jag in Here I Go Again. So then she broke up with Coverdale. She started dating Cleveland Indians pitcher Chuck Finley, and she got arrested for physically assaulting him.
Wow.
And then she got into cocaine, and she ended up in the reality TV circuit, and she died from heart disease at 59 years old. Like, quite the life. But all that being said, you would think that this heavy metal rocker chick, would not come across not all that well, you would think. But man, is she ever charismatic in this movie. I forgot how likable she is. Don't you think?
Yeah, no, and she I mean, she looks like $1 million. Like, who are we kidding?
Beautiful.
Right? Like, she's super hot.
Yeah, but totally likable. And the thing was too, like when I'm watching this, I'm like, she can't act a lick. Like, not a lick. But she's incredibly likable in this. I just like her so much watching it. Like you said, she's like very beautiful, but she seems like down to earth and just normal. And
I felt that she had good chemistry with Tom Hanks. So to your point, she may not be the world's greatest performer, but when you put her in the scene with Tom Hanks, he can do all the heavy lifting, and she just sort of reacts to what he's doing. And I was okay with that. I thought that was fine. Yeah,
to me, it just felt like a huge departure from her off-screen persona. I don't know. Who knows? Maybe she was a super good actress. But she just, to me, she kind of came across as like an actress doing like dinner theater somewhere, like very sophomoric. I don't know. She didn't seem like an actress. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. But anyway, I give a couple other shout outs here to the cast. So, although I will say that the cast in this movie as a collective whole didn't go on to do a whole lot else. It's like they were in Bachelor Party and not much else really. So I want to start with Robert Prescott. He played Cole Whittier. He was in one of your favorite 80s movies, Real Genius.
Yeah, I didn't know the guy was in any other movies. And I'm like, oh, look,
just really these two. That was it.
Yeah. And he sort of plays the same kind of a douchebag in both movies. So.
He had a really small cameo in Spaceballs, too. He was driving the sand cruiser. Remember when they were combing the desert?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, I didn't realize that was him.
I actually thought he was pretty good in this movie.
He was. I mean, he plays the jerk. Playing an unlikable character can be difficult. I mean,
sure.
You're a performer, right? It's easy to play the lead. Everyone wants to be the lead. Everyone likes the lead, but to play the jerk, like he has no redeeming qualities. It's like he's supposed to be unlikable, and that can be tough to do. But
I agree. The hardest role I ever had when I was a theater actor, I had to play this horrendously awful person, and I remember. Playing the part, and then I was in the audience or something after the show one night, and somebody came up to me and said, "I hate you. Like, I hate your guts." And I'm like, okay, good. That's awesome. Obviously, I did my job good. So it's fun to play those parts too sometimes. I like when we're getting into some of the quotes later, but I just want to mention, I love the way he delivers one of his lines in this movie. Remember when they hang him naked out the window? And he crashes down, and Tawny Kitane's dad asks him, he's like, "What the hell's going on here?" And he's like, "They made me get naked. And then they hung me out the window, and then I got scared, and then I fell." Just the way he delivers the line is so funny. It's just, I don't know. It made me laugh. But he's a funny character because he's like this nerdy, preppy, rich guy, but then he starts to seem like he's a little dangerous too. Remember he squeezes the tennis ball? And then he starts pulling out all these weapons and stuff. So I didn't like Real Genius. We reviewed it here on the podcast, I think. But I liked him here. I thought he was really good in this movie. So I give him a shout out.
I wouldn't go so far as say really good, but he was fine.
Yeah, I thought he was good. Adrian Zemed, I want to mention too. He played O'Neill. Good looking guy.
Yeah, he looked familiar, but I couldn't place him.
Oh, you remember? He was in Grease too, but you probably remember him best from T.J. Hooker. With William Shatner and Heather Locklear.
I mean, I know it, but I never watched it. So
yeah, that's where he was really known from, I think. I thought he was pretty good in this movie. I love the opening scene when he's like the photographer with the kid and the mom walks in.
Oh my God.
He gets
so inappropriate.
Lean into the shot with your child. It's so juvenile. It's so 80s. And then Tom Hanks comes in and he joins into the photo shoot. And it's basically the two of them just pointing at her breasts. It's like, oh my God. So juvenile, but it's so funny. Michael Dudikoff. Also want to mention him. He was the one friend that was like the waiter. Yes. He was in American Ninja.
Yeah,
and its sequel.
Recognized. Yeah. I was like, is that? I looked him up. I'm like, oh, that's where I know him from.
I never watched those movies, but like another good-looking guy. Like not very talented as an actor, but he was also in 2 episodes of Happy Days too. Played 2 different characters. But I think that was pretty common back then too. Like a lot of times actors would go on TV shows like multiple times just playing different characters. It's like they only had a small stable of actors to pick from. I don't know. I want to mention Barbara Stewart as well. She was Tawny Kitane's mom. I don't know if you recognized her or not. Did you?
No.
From anything?
No, I did not.
She was in Airplane. She was Robert Stack's wife. Remember the guy from the airlines goes over to the house and the dog keeps attacking him?
Yes.
And she's like, "Shep, get down." To the dog?
Oh,
that was her.
I would have.
Oh, she made tons of appearances on TV shows, like from the 60s right up to the 90s. Everything from like Andy Griffith's show to Quincy, Mary Tyler Moore, all the way to LA Law. I think she is in one of the best scenes of the movie when the girls go to the male strippers. She's got that great line. She's like, "I had a strange man's wang right in my palm." Like, I just love that line. It's so funny. More on that a bit. We'll get to some of the scenes. I want to mention Barry Diamond as well. He was Rudy. So he was like this lewd, crude Neanderthal guy. But I remember him because my kids have been watching Different Strokes when we go up to the trailer. And he was in season 1 of Different Strokes. He was Willis's tutor. I was watching. I'm like, hey, that's Willis's tutor. But my God, in this movie, he's so crude. When they're watching the porno movie, and he's like, all the way down. Lay that home. and then when they all stand up to do the toast, they're like, Rick and Debbie, to Rick and Debbie, to Rick and Debbie. And he stands up and he goes, to girls with like, oh my God.
I'll drink to that.
Yeah. And then they're so, and then, of course, I want to mention Wendy Jo Sperber. Man, she was awesome. I really was a fan of hers. She died way too young. She died at 39 years old. Or sorry, at 39 years old, she was diagnosed with breast cancer. And she died 8 years later at 47. But she founded We Spark in LA, like to support cancer patients. And like I say, she lost her battle after 8 years of fighting hard. But man, she was good. Bosom Buddies, she did with Tom Hanks. She was amazing in this movie called I Want to Hold Your Hand. It was about the Beatles fans back in like 64. And I liked her in this movie called Moving Violations. You know that movie.
I know that movie. She was good in that. Oh, but I always remember her as the sister in Back to the Future. Not that she had a big part.
No,
but that's where I recognize her from.
That's where I think most people know her from. I agree.
Yeah.
I feel like she was good in everything that she was in. She always had this like bigger than life personality. Like I say, I was a big fan of hers. And I thought she was great in this movie. Though when she goes on the warpath to get her husband for screwing around, and then she gets to the male strippers and she just like lets her freak flag fly. Goes nuts. I love that. And then when she confronts him, she's like, what'd you say? What'd you say? No hookers. No. And she's like punching him.
Yeah, she's like beating the crap out of him. Yeah.
So funny. So it was great. So any scenes, we'll talk about some of our favorite scenes from this film. I have quite a few. Did any stand out to you before I get to some of mine?
Oh man. Yeah, you sort of put me on the spot.
That's all right. I'll get the ball rolling.
Yeah,
with a couple.
Run down some and I'll sort of jump in. I mean, it was more just sort of like cutaway gags and like little bits. Like some of the stupidest little things made me laugh. So I'll mention them as you run through some of the scenes.
Okay, so one that is quite famous, I think, in a lot of people's minds that have seen this movie, Max the Magical Sexual Mule. So they bring in this donkey. And then the dad sees the donkey. Remember, he's like, bestiality. And then the girl does like that strip tease around the donkey. But the thing is, when the donkey's doing the lines of cocaine, my God, I don't know how they did it. Because it looks like it's a real donkey doing lines of coke.
It did look like a real donkey. But I love when they brought the donkey in and they were like, what did he say? Something about when the donkey had to wear a disguise, you know that something's going to happen. Like just it was some line like that just made me laugh. Like so many of the scenes, like the one-liners or the little gimmicks, I just laughed way harder than I probably should have. But again, it was all new to me. So I thought it was really funny.
I don't know if they used any special effects for the donkey doing the cocaine either, because you think you'd be able to tell if it was this big fake donkey head, but like you could see its tongue. Like it looks like the actual donkey is doing coke. I don't know. So that's what was funny to me. I liked the tennis game too, when these super stuffy rich parents are playing the doubles game of tennis.
Yeah, with
the daughter and Tom Hanks, and then every time the ball comes to him, he hauls back and swings like he's hitting a home run. And he's like, it's gone. Cleveland wins a pennant. And then it goes over the yard, and the other guy's like in the neighbor's sitting in his lawn chair, and there's like 50 tennis balls all around him.
Yeah.
One of these days, I'm going to burn that court to the ground. So I like that. That was funny. Probably one of my favorite scenes. Oh, there's so many. I don't know. The male strippers I thought was really good. Like I say, Wendy Jo Sperber was great, but the best part is the one guy is working there, and he's friends with Tom Hanks. So he calls him. He's like, hey, the girls are here, right? So they decide they're going to come and prank the girls. And they meet Nick the and they go, do we call you Nick or just Mr. And I just love the way he delivers his line. He's like, it's Nick. It's like he's been asked this question a million times. I don't know. And so they get Nick the to put his inside a hot dog bun on this tray of burgers and hot dogs. And he carries the tray out. And then the mom is like, is that the footlong? He's like, and then some.
And then some.
And then she grabs it. And instead of like letting go, she just keeps tugging it and pulling it. That whole scene was hilarious. It was so funny.
So what made me laugh about that was in the scene when they're meeting him for the first time. And then they keep the camera on his face. But he unzips his pants. You hear the zip,
and he rotates his hips.
Yeah. Then he has to like pull his thing out of his pants, and then you hear like a thud, like, and I thought, is it supposed to have hit the floor? Like, is that the joke? But it made me laugh so much. And then when they brought the tray, and he same thing, he's like, I'll let you take care of this. And then same thing, you hear it go boom, and it's like, oh, just when it both of those times, I laughed so much. Like, it's funny how just a sound effect,
right?
Your brain is filling in what you think is happening, and it just made me laugh so much. It was so dumb, but it was so funny.
I want to mention Tim the Trans, because Gary is talking to Rick and he's like, oh man, I met the woman of my dreams. I'm talking marriage, kids, the whole thing. And then this cross-dresser comes in, and it's very clearly a man. If you can't tell by the 5 o'clock shadow, the voice gives it away. And then he pees standing up. And he's like, my name's Tim. I also do engine work on BMWs. Gary's like crushed. So now I get where the scene of him in the shower scrubbing himself could be like offensive and dated.
Yeah, the scene I thought was good until then, and then when you see him in the shower, I'm like, okay, that like, was the dated part of it.
But the thing is, the whole point of the scene is so completely ridiculous. I mean, he has sex with Tim and doesn't realize that he's a man. I mean, come on. It's the absurdity.
Now, I thought of that too, but I don't think he's supposed to have sex. I think it was oral sex, because when Tim comes into the bathroom, Tim is fully dressed, whereas the other guy is in his boxer shorts. So like he's clearly taking his clothes off. Okay. So that was how I interpreted that.
I interpreted it differently. Probably, so I was like, how did you not know? Come on, man.
No, I think it was something
absurdity.
a little. Yeah, I think it was a different act that was performed, because it didn't sound like that guy had a lot of money, because later on he's like, what did I get for $25?
Oh, right, yeah. So I want to mention the alleyway pimp too, when he's like, you're a pimp, and he's like, I'm telling you I am. He's like, you look like Gandhi. And the guy says, if you don't bring the girls back on time, Milt will cut your balls off. And the guy's like, I just bet my balls and shook on it.
Yeah,
that was pretty funny. I thought the couple in the hotel room was pretty funny. It was a bit of a running gag, especially when they're like, there's a full moon out tonight, and they open the curtains, and there's Cole's naked bum hanging there in the window. Again, stupid, juvenile.
Yeah, that I didn't really care for as much. It was sort of, Yeah.
So I also want to mention the naked girl sequence. So they get, I think it's...
I don't remember that part. No.
Tom Hanks' old girlfriend, and they try to get her to like seduce him again. And she sits on the bed naked. And she's sitting there, you see her bare breasts, and she's talking to him. And her head changes to different people. And there's like the nun, and she's like, don't do it. And then his fiance's head's there. What's that? Yeah.
When and then the nun, that was a little disturbing.
Yeah. And then Tawny Kitane's head is on, and she's like, you said no screwing around. And then his brother's head's there, and he's like, are you crazy? Look at my...
Yeah, I was like, oh my God. That made me laugh.
I was laughing at that. So, and then I love how they use her then to seduce Cole.
Yes.
To trick him into getting naked, and they hang him out the window. And I love that scene, because Tom Hanks is like, we're just going to hang you here for a while just to keep you out of any trouble. And then Rudy's like, I hope you die, you bastard. Even just that throwaway line was good. That Rudy, he was something. He's eating the chocolate bars in the vending machine. He's just an animal, right? I felt the end of the film, to be honest, was a bit, I don't know, over the top or something. I don't know. It was a little bit much, but I mean...
I think it needed that, though. I think that I think it needed some, like... It was sort of like it got to the party and everyone was there, and then you're like, where is this going? Like, I think it needed to be that ridiculous over the top to just sort of push it to the end. And I liked the scene in the 3D movie was really funny. I really laughed at that.
When the guy gets punched and then the nose and everything.
It's like the two of them are fighting at the front, and they keep, one of them will get thrown over, and then the one guy's like, wow, the effects in this movie are really good. And his girlfriend's like, I've seen better. And then in the next second, like, she gets punched in the face, and then she's like, wow. But I also like that again, it was subtle, but the two characters fighting on the screen were wearing the same color shirts as the two guys fighting in the theater. I'm like, obviously that was deliberate, but it took me a second to sort of catch that. I was like, hey, look, someone's paying attention to detail. And then where the bus comes through at the end, it was a little bit telegraphed, but I figured that's where that was going to go. And then, of course, the crowd goes bananas because they think it's part of the movie. So it made me laugh. I don't know if that was really funny.
Yeah. I guess, we can't expect like a Citizen Kane wrap up. It was an 80s film. So it
But there was another throwaway, like just a little tiny gag joke when they go to the movie theater and the door to get into the theater is a pull door and Tom Hanks just runs into it full speed. Wham! I'm like, oh my God, I laughed so hard at that. And it was just on the screen for a second. And I was like, I don't know why I thought that was so funny. I don't know. It really made me laugh.
It was, well, the film was directed by Neil Israel, who did Real Genius. So, you know, he was a big fan of the airplane, like the Zaz stuff too. Yeah. So he was trying to do a lot of those sight gags and stuff in this film. Lots of quotes in the movie too. A couple that stood out to me when Rudy at the beginning, he's like, let's have a bachelor party with chicks and guns and fire trucks and hookers and drugs and booze. And the guy's like, yeah, all the things that makes life worth living. Okay, all right. Oh, I think there was a scene when O'Neill, it was Adrian Zemed's character. He's like, oh man, I'm so envious of you. You know, I wish I had what you have, somebody who is in my every thought and someone I could spend all my time with.
A girl I can respect.
Yeah. Look at the cans on that bimbo.
Yeah.
He just walks away. So again, 80s, you know. Yeah. And then I love when Raja comes in looking for his girls and there's like the crossbow dart goes right by his head and hits the wall and he's like, I'm going to get Milt. I'm going to get the out of here. Again, I thought it was funny. One other scene or one other quote that stood out to me that I thought was funny is when he says, Debbie says to him, you promised that you won't fool around at your bachelor party. And he's like, I swear on my mother's grave. And she's like, your mother's still alive. If I go back on my word, I'll kill her. It was just a funny throwaway line. So, but anyway.
I like the little running gag they had that was both at the very beginning and the very end where he had the egg beater.
Oh, right.
They're gonna have sex. Then he pulls out the egg beater and he starts chasing her. He goes, "Don't worry, we can take turns."
Right.
And then at the end when he pulls it out and then he's like, "It's okay, we're married now."
Right.
Again, it's just so sort of little throwaway gag humor, like just one-off jokes. Like there was so many of them, and they worked really well. I really enjoyed this movie. It was really good.
Yeah, I thought it was good too. And you know, considering a lot of the stuff we've talked about already is like so raunchy and not safe for work and all that stuff, but it's still kind of held up, surprisingly enough.
Yeah, I thought so too. A
lot of these ones don't, right?
You're absolutely right. And no, I mean, I thoroughly enjoyed it, and I would certainly recommend this to somebody who, you know, if they were like, oh, what can I watch? What's an 80s movie that maybe I haven't seen before? That I'm like, I would definitely throw this one out into the mix.
And it's readily available streaming. It's on Disney Plus. So it's not
it's funny you mention that because my intention was to watch this on my plane ride home, and it's like, oh, we're sorry, your Disney Plus account is only good in Canada, and you're in the United States. Geez. So my plan was to download it on my phone to watch it. So that's why I had to watch it today. I was planning on watching it on the weekend. So,
but if you download it on your phone or your device, can you watch it when you're in the States?
I think I probably could have, but I of course didn't have the foresight to do that because Vegas,
you figured, I'll just use
I had other things on my mind. I'll be honest, but.
Well, it's Vegas, you know.
Yeah,
so.
exactly.
Do you want to give it a rating out of 10?
Probably go as high as like maybe an 8. Like I really liked it.
I think I would give it an 8 as well. Like as far as 80s raunchy comedies go, it's right up there. It's one of the better ones. And the fact that Tom Hanks is in it, like you can't believe this guy 5 years later is nominated for an Oscar, is doing this, but pulling it off. Like, and again, going back to what we said at the beginning, if it wasn't for him, and it wasn't for Tawny Kitaen and the chemistry they have and the likability, this movie would not be the same film. Like, there's no way. If you watch this with Paul Reiser and Kelly McGillis in the lead roles, like when they were originally cast, this movie would probably not be very likable. It might just come off as one of those
to obscurity.
Yeah, it would just be one of those raunchy comedies that isn't very, very charismatic in any way. But no, thought it was really, really good. So. Yeah, it was good. 8 out of 10. Hard to believe for this film, but hey, we did.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed it. I would definitely watch again.
All right. Well, what do you say we do this?
Fun with Caveman.
All right, my man. So it was my film. So over to you. What have you got for us?
All right, we're gonna just hit this nail right on the head. We're gonna do a game we like to call Pick the Flick.
Pick the Flick. Yeah, pick the flick. You get the synopsis, then pick the flick. You get the year, pick the flick. Okay, so what have you got for Pick the Flick? We know how this works. You give me the year and the synopsis, and I have to name the film, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
And the common thread to all of these is these are all movies about getting married, and they all feature bachelor parties in some way, shape, or form.
Okay.
Or in some cases, bachelorette parties. But
okay,
that is a big part, if not the entire part of every one of these movies. Now, I will caution you, this theme is not as popular as you might think, so I had to really dig to find enough movies to make the trivia work. So some of them are a lot newer. I don't think you're going to get, but
you might have to help me out on a couple.
Yeah, there are a handful.
All right.
I've seen a lot of them, and the ones I've seen, I can certainly give you some clues. So, all right. In no particular order. First one, in the third installment of this comedy franchise, two high school sweethearts are finally getting married. Among their guests are their families and friends, including the groom's old friends from high school and the bride's little sister.
I want to say that it's one of the American Pie movies. Am I on the right track?
Yes, you are.
So the only one I've ever seen is one you made me watch, which was the original. Yes. But I want to say that they made American Pie too. Did they make? Was it called American Wedding?
It was.
Oh,
yes. For you. Yeah.
Okay.
That's why. Yeah. And the clue I gave you was the third installment. Yeah.
Okay.
It was good, and the Bachelor Party was a big part of that one too.
There you go.
All right, this one's from a little newer, 2009, but I have confidence you'll get this. Three buddies wake up from a bachelor party in Las Vegas with no memory of the previous night, and the bachelor is missing. They make their way around the city in order to find their friend before his wedding.
So I actually am sure that this is one. I saw this film years ago. My wife and her friends were all hanging around. They're like, "Oh, you got to watch this movie." I didn't like it all that much, but is it The Hangover?
It is The Hangover, yes.
Yeah.
And I couldn't remember if we had done this one for the podcast or not, but I think maybe you said you weren't a big fan, so I wasn't going to subject you to this one. So
I don't remember anything about it, really, other than that I didn't really care for it all that much. It was like, it was just okay.
Oh, it was really good.
Yeah.
All right. This one, again, I told you there's a lot of newer ones here. This one's from 2006. Mm-hmm. In this sequel, two best friends work their last shift together before one of them gets married and moves away. Among the hijinks that ensue, Kinky Kelly's donkey show is a part of the impromptu bachelor party that they throw in the store after hours. It is a night they'll never forget.
I'm not sure, but it sounds like they're really stealing the concept from Bachelor Party with the donkey.
Of course they
are. I don't know. What's the name of it? I don't know.
It was Clerks 2.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah,
okay.
and they were.
So I'm a big fan of Clerks. I love that movie. When it came out back in 1994, I went to see it in Toronto in a independent film theater. I loved it. I've never seen the sequel though. Never saw it.
I mean, it's not as good. Yeah. It's not as good, but it has some good moments. And when Dante starts to put together Randall's bachelor party at the last minute and hires Kinky Kelly's sex show, only to find out that Kelly is a man, it takes a turn. In any case, it's got a lot of good quotes, and it's pretty funny. All right, this one is from 1965. It's older than me, and it's older than you. And I will tell you right off the bat, it stars Jack Lemmon, so you might actually get this one. I've never seen it, and I'd honestly never heard about it until today. So from 1965, starring Jack Lemmon, a dedicated bachelor drunkenly marries a young woman and immediately lives to regret it.
It's How to Murder Your Wife.
Yes.
Yep.
Have you ever seen it?
I'm familiar with it. I have not seen it, but I'm familiar with it.
No, I'd never heard of it, but apparently he marries her. Like they go to Vegas and they have this bachelor party, and he marries this woman while he's drunk. And so I was like, okay, fit the criteria.
I remember hearing about that. Yeah.
All right, here's a newer one. I have not seen this one, so I can't help you. It's from 2017. Mm-hmm. Things go terribly wrong for a group of girlfriends who hire a male stripper for a bachelorette party in Miami.
I'm going to take a stab and say it's called Bachelorette Party.
It is not called Bachelorette Party, but it has a huge cast of who's who of popular female performers. Mm-hmm. Apparently, it's called Rough Night. I think the male stripper is killed, hence the rough night part, but it is a comedy from what I understand. So, all right.
It actually sounds familiar. I don't know why.
If you look it up, you'd be like, oh my God, all these very popular women are in this movie?
Yeah, it sounds familiar.
Okay. I'm going to read you a clue, which might give you a little deja vu here. So it's from 1998.
All right.
A prostitute is killed during a bachelor party, and the attendees turn on each other as the wedding approaches. This one I actually saw in the movie theater on a sneak preview that I won tickets for from a radio station.
Is it New York Stories?
No, it is not.
Oh, I was just thinking like a prostitute like murdered and stuff. No,
it is a comedy as well. It's called Very Bad Things.
Oh,
and
it sounds familiar too.
It seems that movie, the question before, Rough Night, sounds like it's almost the exact same premise, except it's women and the male prostitute dies, whereas this one was the men and the female prostitute dies. All right, this one, you might have seen this, 2018. This romantic comedy follows the bride, a native New Yorker, overseas to meet her boyfriend's family. And a huge part of this movie is the bachelor party and the bachelorette party prior to the wedding.
Ooh, it's not... Is it My Big Fat Greek Wedding?
No, it is not.
No. Oh, I don't know.
You're going over the wrong seas. Go the other way.
Oh, Crazy Rich Asians?
Bingo!
Oh, I got it. Yeah.
Nice.
Oh,
if you have not seen this movie, it is really good. And let me tell you, there are a lot of very attractive people in this movie.
I have not seen that movie, but I remember my dad saying he loved that movie.
It was really good.
This movie is so good, son. You have to watch this movie. It's so good. And I have not yet watched it. But
no, it was quite good. All right. Next one from 2011. 2 years after their bachelor party in Las Vegas, 4 friends jet to Thailand for a wedding. The groom's plan for a subdued pre-wedding brunch, however, goes seriously awry.
No idea.
It's The Hangover Part 2.
Oh, of course it is. The Hangover Part 2. Yes.
So, again, featuring a bachelor party. You got a formula that works. Keep doing it.
Go with it. Keep making money.
Yep. All right. This one is from 2012. Again, I have not seen it. 3 friends are asked to be bridesmaids at a wedding of a woman they used to ridicule back in high school.
I don't know.
This one is called Bachelorette.
Okay.
So when you said before Bachelorette Party, I'm like, well, maybe he'll guess that again in this one. I'd give you half points.
Oh, nice.
Okay. Yeah, again, I hadn't seen it, but okay. Going a little farther back, but still newer from your point of view, 1999. And this one, it says, just before his best friend's wedding, the life of a Chicago writer becomes crazy when his best friend guesses that his new book's story is based on his bride's fervent past.
Ooh, it doesn't sound familiar, so I don't know.
It's called The Best Man.
Oh, okay.
And again, highly critically acclaimed. It is an all-black cast. And I was reading through. Again, I remember when it came out. I never saw it, but I remember seeing the previews and when I was reading about it. I'm like, I should probably go back and watch this movie. It sounds pretty damn good. All right, I got a couple of easy ones coming for you at the end because I knew there was going to be a bunch you weren't going to get. I didn't want to have you go out on a downside here.
Oh, sure.
All right, from 2004. Fairly certain you've seen this movie. 2 men reaching middle age with not much to show but disappointment embark on a week-long road trip through California's wine country just as one is about to take a trip down the aisle.
Oh, that is starring my all-time crush, Virginia Madsen. It is Sideways. That movie was really good. I like that
Wow,
one
it's
a lot.
20 years old. I didn't think it was that. Well, I may have to go back and rewatch that one too. I got a lot of
really good performances in that.
Yeah.
And Thomas Hayden Church, he was outstanding. Oh, that movie was good.
Really good. I think he was nominated for an Oscar for that.
He was nominated for Best Supporting Actor. And I want to say that Paul Giamatti might have been nominated for Best Actor.
Might have been as well.
I don't know,
mean,
but
he's
was
so good at so many things.
The scene with him and Virginia Madsen when he just blows it with her. Oh,
yeah.
Your heart just breaks for the guy. Oh, so good. Very good film. Good one.
All right, final question.
Yep.
This a little newer, but again, I think you might have seen this one or at least know about it. From 2013. 4 lifelong friends go to Vegas to relive their glory days after one of them proposes to his much younger girlfriend.
Is it Bachelor Party 2?
No, it is not. But I'll give you a second guess if you have any other thoughts on the matter.
And you said they go to Vegas?
They go to Vegas. His much younger girlfriend.
I don't know.
It was called Last Vegas, and it's like these 4 old farts go. It's like Michael Douglas and Morgan Freeman and Kevin Kline, and I can't remember who the 4th guy is off the top of my head. was it Robert De Niro? It might have been Robert De Niro.
Okay.
Anyway.
Las Vegas.
Oh, okay. Yeah. My friends were joking when we went this past weekend. They're like, are we going to be these guys in Las Vegas, these old farts that go and like...
You are now.
Everyone, yeah, like, well, we will be by the time we come back because I'm turning my birthdays while we're there. So. Anyway, you did pretty good. I knew there was a bunch here that you probably weren't going to get because, I picked a pretty niche topic, but there we are.
Yeah, good. I did my best. Yeah. So I just want to mention this. Our next episode will actually be episode number 300. Hard to believe.
Indeed, it will. Yes.
So, what do you say? Maybe we do like a top 5 list or something. Maybe we come back with like our top 5 moments or something over the last.
I was going to say, why don't we do something to celebrate the milestone rather than a movie review? We'll do something to different. I think we've done this before. I think when we hit 200, 100, and 200, we did a little something off center, nothing too crazy, something that people will hopefully enjoy listening to. And then when that's all said and done, we'll come back and go back to our normal formula. We'll find some more movies and some more standard top 5s.
Yep, that works for me. So we'll figure out something between now and then to celebrate our 300th episode. Pretty cool. And until then, I'm Chris McBrien. That's Derek Myers, and we both want to say thank you very much for taking time to listen to Pop Goes Your World, the pop culture podcast for the generations.
Thanks for listening to Pop Goes Your World. You can contact Chris and Derek at popgoesyourworld.com. Please take a minute and review the podcast on iTunes or wherever you download and listen to the show.